Good morning. We find ourselves at Wednesday of the 32nd week in Ordinary Time, and again, we are now 1 week closer to the first Sunday of Advent and the beginning of a new year of grace and favor from the Lord. I want to just speak briefly about the solemnity that we celebrated yesterday, and that is the dedication of the Basilica of St. John Lateran in Rome. It seems a little odd at first glance that the Church would set aside and consider such an important feast day of the dedication of a building, but let me just explain, this is a very ancient celebration in the Church, at least in the Latin rite of the Church. There are 4 major basilicas in the city of Rome: St. John Lateran, St. Mary Major, St. Paul outside the walls, and St. Peter Basilica itself. Each of these major basilicas, and one of the reasons they're called major is because the main altar is a papal altar, and only the Pope offers Mass on these main altars in the 4 basilicas, unless, of course, others are given permission to do so, which is granted from time to time. But the whole point of celebrating the dedication of these 4 basilicas is not so much, it's not just about the building, I should say, but it represents 2 things: the primacy of the successor to St. Peter, the Pope, in the life of the Church, but it also represents the constant faith of the Church itself, established by Jesus Christ for the salvation of the world, and it represents in a visible way the living faith of the Church. In other words, these 4 basilicas, as they look today, did not always look this way. They were different, but over the course of the centuries, they have been rebuilt and expanded and beautified, and it represents, again, the faith of the people, that it's not in a building, but in the body of Christ itself, which is represented by these churches, these 4 basilicas. Now, these 4 basilicas, their dedications are celebrated throughout the course of the church year. In February, the Church combines the dedications of the basilicas of St. Peter and St. Paul outside the walls. In early August, the Church celebrates the dedication of the Basilica of St. Mary Major, which is the first church built in the West specifically dedicated to our Blessed Mother. And then finally, every November 9th, the Church celebrates the dedication of the Basilica of St. John Lateran, which was the seat of the popes. From very early Christian times, that property where the basilica sits now was donated to the Pope by a very wealthy Roman family that had converted to Christianity, the Lateran family, and that's why it carries that name of Lateran, because that's a reference to the Roman family that gave all of this property over to the Pope. But these 4 basilicas are really visible reminders to all of us of the promise of Jesus, that when he established the Church, he said, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. They stand as that living reminder of Christ's fidelity to his bride, the church, that he will be with us until the end of time. And also they represent our constant faith in the church itself and our reliance on the primacy of the Pope as successor to St. Peter, to whom Jesus gave the keys to the kingdom of heaven.